Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. This is Sunday, August the 14th in the evening, and there's the times that it's going to air during the week, starting this next week. And then there's my email address. I sure wish you people would go ahead and continue on emailing me at gsansing@gmail.com. And this is available on YouTube now. I've updated that, so if you go into Gerald Sansing on YouTube, then you can find both South Texas News and Reviews, and you can also find the what's going on in Corpus Christi, which is the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association view on things. Anyway, I'll be right back. I'm going to turn the lights on, adjust everything, and we'll get started. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the camera's rolling, lights are on. I'm going to go around and take my seat. I have to do this since this is a one-man show. I don't want to have other people implicated in what goes on around here. So anyway, I'll just get started with that. The roses, the 11 roses here in the vase, are for my wife Lynn, who passed away 4 years ago. And then she was born on 11/11. So 11 was her number, so I always, if I buy a dozen roses, I always put 11 in the vase, and that's the single 12th rose over there, and that's dedicated to a good friend of mine, April 23. Anyway, welcome. I'm going to give you the times that this show airs. It's South Texas News and Reviews. I've got Wednesday at 9 p.m. and Saturday at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. So I sure appreciate it if you do that. That's on Public Access Television, Channel 10, which is Time Warner, Groundy. And then I assume, I haven't been able to confirm this with anyone, it's Channel 99 if you've got AT&T. So let me know if you can't handle that. And also, I'd like to go ahead and say that I've got the Taxpayers Association show, Corpus Christi Taxpayers. I am the president. The title is What's Going On in Corpus Christi. We update you with similar articles and information, and that airs at Tuesday at 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and then Wednesday from 8:30 to 9 p.m. So please join us, okay? And if you've got any questions or comments and so forth, I get several comments every day on my email, which is gsansing@gmail.com. Now I'm going to reference some of these new letters to the editor that have just come out, and then I'll go ahead and go through a little bit more organized portion of this. But Terry King on the 11th of August, a couple of days ago, said, "Gateway to what? Just watch the evening news about the new Harbor Bridge groundbreaking. Though I can appreciate the effort taken for this undertaking, where will this new structure lead to? If tourists come to see this bridge, they will also see a city that can't manage its wastewater, its water quality, its water supply, or any part of its infrastructure, that's streets, wastewater, piping, etc. What they will also see, other than the bridge, which I am sure it will be gorgeous when completed in some 30 years from now. 30 years is just an estimate based on how long it takes to a complete overhaul of a Corpus Christi street, is indecision, and indecision. Sure, hope we got the input of a consultant before the groundbreaking ceremonies, because that would give me a warm and cozy feeling about this project. Corpus Christi, you rock." Okay, that was Terry King on the 11th of August. Today is the 14th. Okay, I'm going to discuss the Harbor Bridge and so forth and so on. I think it's probably a marvelous economic development around here, folks. But I have serious doubts about how those people over there in those neighborhoods, which is Donna Park, and then we've got Hillcrest and Washington Coles, how they're being treated by the local gentry and the port and everybody else. I mean, they've been, abused and so forth for so many years. I'm still in the process of trying to see if I can help relocate some of those people. I tried in the past with no success whatsoever. I just guess I got with the wrong individuals and so forth and so on. But my heart's in it. I spent an awful lot of time as the chair of the Clean Economy Coalition trying to make sure that Las Brisas Energy Center did not come in. I've tried to get the petroleum coke covered up over there so all those residents aren't breathing particulate matter, which is very deleterious to their health all the time. And, I've done a lot of things to try to help those people out. I think that I'm still going to be able to do that. It's been an uphill climb at times. Okay, I won't belabor the fact with that. I'd probably say something that I would regret. Okay, and then we've got, this came out on the 12th from Al Grunow, Grunow, Grunow. Okay, street repair tax. The city council is proposing a heavy trash tax to pay for street repair. Why put it in a category that has nothing to do with streets? In the category, it is not a tax dedicated to street repair, but could be pirated out for other things. Why not call it what it is? A street repair tax. Then maybe it will only be used for street repair. Good luck there, sir. Good news for you. I've been in this city long enough to know that nothing is set in concrete. And if a city council person or a businessman around here can benefit from the taxpayer public and mess us around, then they'll do it in one heartbeat and a half. Okay, I won't say a heartbeat. That's too fast for them. They don't do anything on a single heartbeat. It would take them a heartbeat and a half to get it done. Okay, they'd have to screw it up for a while and think about it and conspire before they go and do something. I am going to talk about code enforcement. The show that preceded this one at 8:30, what's going on in Corpus Christi. I went out on the streets and drove around. I showed some code enforcement faux pas around. That's got to be the most inefficient and despicable group of people in town, next to the city council people and some of the members of the city legal staff. Okay, I won't do that, but this was Sally Benji. I've read this before. I'm tired of Corpus Christi, Texas chapter of the Laws, Codes, and Ordinances are for everyone else, not me club. Are you? Then let the city council, mayor, and anyone else who comes up with the laws, codes, and ordinances here and are supposed to enforce them know about your concerns in every way possible. Well, Shelley, I'm going to try to get a hold of you and have you go on YouTube and pick up and watch my last couple of shows. I have been very, very disenchanted with code enforcement, been furious at them at times, and I've had an awful lot to say over the past 4 or 5 years about code enforcement and how despicable those people truly are. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you except I agree with you, Shelley, explicitly with this one, and let me know what you think. If you'd like to come on this show and participate with me and voice your further distrust and angst with the code enforcement group around here, then please let me know. I know a lot of people are. I went over and filmed today that sidewalk over there at Gulfway Center on Airline between McCardle and SPID for about the 10th time. We're being duped around here. One of the worst entities around here is that legal department at the city of Corpus Christi. Okay, and the guy that heads that. Okay, now one thing that bothered me tremendously this past week on the 6th of August was a newspaper article buried back into the B section, and it's a real short one, and it shows a picture of one of my favorite people in this world, Mr. Carlos Valdez. And it says, Carlos Valdez has a lengthy career so far, he replaces Retha Cable. Okay? Skirka brings Valdez back. Okay? Now they're talking about Mark Skirka, our current and not long to be district attorney for Nueces County and whatever the district is around here. But let me just read this to you. Former DA prosecuted Selena's killer. Now that's Mr. Carlos Valdez. Now I had a few words on the last show to say about that, and I won't belabor that, but anybody that can't prosecute as an attorney and a district attorney a person for murder that's standing there with a smoking gun and a dead bleeding body and witnesses, I mean, why would you want to be writing books about that and pounding your chest about being the best prosecutor in the country for the last century? I mean, the man is despicable. I mean, I'm just going to say that. That's my own personal view. I don't care what you think of Mr. Carlos Valdez, but I find him totally and completely despicable as a human being and as an elected official. Okay? Nueces County District Attorney Mark Skirka appointed his predecessor, Carlos Valdez, to first assistant, the number 2 prosecutorial position, and that's with our district. Valdez, known for prosecuting Tejano star Selena's killer and for having a lengthy political career, replaces Retha Cable, who left the office to work in the Clayburgh County District Attorney's office. He was the district attorney for 17 years, and he was really very poor at that at the time. Okay? Valdez has also been a county and city attorney. Last year he ran unsuccessfully for judge of County Court at Law number 4, and this year lost his bid for a justice spot on the 13th Court of Appeals. Skirka lost the primary for re-election to Democrat Mark Gonzalez, who will face Republican James Gardner in the November election. Okay? And so that tells me that Mr. Skirka, who's a loser, okay, and Mr. Valdez, who is a loser, then the two top loser over there, that our current district attorney, appointed another loser to be the second in command over there for our district attorney in the prosecutor's office. Okay. Now I'm going to read a letter that I wrote to the Caller Times, a letter to the editor. It was not published. It was about a week ago, I think on the 7th. Today's the 14th. I haven't seen hide nor hair of it, which doesn't surprise me since the Caller Times is more political than they should be. They should be an independent, unbiased, apolitical news organization, but I guarantee you they're not, folks. Okay? They don't care about you. All they care about is sucking up to a lot of people that advertise and people that they think are going to do them a lot of good down there. They are extremely biased, which is unfortunate. My bride was a journalist, and she didn't take sides on any of the issues. It was straightforward: report the news and get the hell out of the way. Let people make up their own mind. Just tell them the truth, and people can make up their minds. Anyway, this is what I sent in at 2:56 p.m. last Sunday on the 7th of August 2016. Foul play, and that's what I consider that appointment, Mr. Skirka and Mr. Valdez. That's total foul play when it comes to the fine taxpayers of this district. Okay? I am horrified and disgusted by the fact that District Attorney Mark Skirka has saddled the local tax-paying citizens with Mr. Carlos Valdez. And that's what it is. It's a saddling, folks. Okay? It's a burden. In the past, I have requested of Mr. Valdez, and then I put in parentheses, then District Attorney, that he investigate some irregularities in accounting practices at Del Mar College. That's been 10, 12 years ago, folks. He indicated that he would not investigate white-collar crimes. Now, neither will Mr. Skirka. Okay? I tried to get him to investigate a few things, as did some other people around here. He said, "No, I don't. I'm criminal. We don't investigate white-collar crimes when you find taxpayers are being duped." In actuality, he was good friends with the Del Mar College accountant, and he was at that time, and a member of the Del Mar College Board of Regents, both of which are no longer associated with Del Mar College. But Mr. Valdez was very close friends with those two. He was seen out in public at lunch and dinner and so forth with them. I think they traveled together up to Las Vegas to roll the dice and so forth. But anyway, it's a good old boy system around here. Mr. Valdez, as city attorney, filed a lawsuit against me and 4 other local tax-paying citizens, which were the Friends of the Coliseum, for $65,000 and stated in court that he did so to prevent or to frighten, okay, the tax-paying city citizens from ever suing the city. Okay, the 13th Court of Appeals did not agree with City Attorney Valdez, with Carlos Valdez. What a gentleman. Now I'm just going to interject this as the moth flies around. I hope you don't see it. Okay, now the 13th Court of Appeals, with the five of us, the Friends of the Coliseum, we appealed to the 13th Court of Appeals and said, hey, we don't owe the city anything. Here's their contract. One of the things that the agreement said between the city and the demolition company was if a court-ordered halt in demolition was instituted, no one suffered or incurred any damages. But Mr. Valdez ignored that, okay, statement, and he said, no, we're going to frighten these guys off. We're going to prove to the citizens nobody has any right to question what the deities do down here as city council and the city attorneys and so forth. So we're just going to go ahead and sue them and scare the hell out of them. Well, you can see how frightened I am of you, Mr. Valdez, okay? I've already told you what I think of you. You're a despicable individual, okay? And I really am very saddened that Mr. Skirka would stoop to the point where he would put you into play like that, since both of you lost your elections, your primary elections. And I'm pleased that the 13th Court of Appeals voters in the preliminary said, hey, Carlos, you didn't pay any attention to the 13th Court of Appeals. Now you want to go down there and make a fortune and a good living with all these retirements you've already got on the 13th Court of Appeals. So bravo, citizens. I'm glad that you didn't vote that crazy man in there. Okay? All right. I'm speaking my own mind. I'm not trying to influence anybody. This is not any attempt for libel, slander, or anything else, although bring it on, folks, if you want to do that. You know, you're attorneys, so you can do what you damn well please. But, you know, all I can do is tell you the way I personally feel about it. And I'm not the least bit shy in doing that. Okay? All right. Then my second paragraph. I requested an investigation by Mr. Mark Skirka into gross violations of my Texas Public Information Act rights on an attorney hired by Del Mar College to conduct an inquisition against me. Okay? Now let me explain what that was all about. I have a department chair and a dean that lied about me in order to try to, you know, shame me and muzzle me up, I guess. I don't know what their motive is. You know, they've got their favorites over there. They've got some real favorite faculty members and staff members and so forth, and they can do no wrong. But when I sit here and tell you the truth about things, then, of course, I'm being, and I don't want to talk to someone because there's no purpose in that, because I know I'm going to get nothing but lies and things that are untrue told back to me. Then I cease talking to people like that. So that was being hostile and intimidating. Now, how can you be hostile if you don't talk to someone? Okay? I didn't go in there with an axe handle. I didn't go in there with a gun and threaten anybody. I just shut the hell up. I don't have to talk to people that I don't trust and that I don't like and that I have no respect for. Now, is that is that a hostile act to just not talk to people? Okay? I have nothing to say to people like that. Okay? And I don't know that they could say anything to me that made any sense and that I could believe them. Okay? Now, then I was asked if I would switch a piece of equipment that I have used for the last 8-10 years out of my lab into a special event when one of the chosen few was provided with the chance to teach a course that I've traditionally done for 20 some odd years. Okay? So I told them I used that. I had that same class and other classes similar to that, and I just said, hey, both of you can go to hell. Now that was insubordinate. They asked me if I would transfer and condone the transfer of that piece of equipment, and I said no. Now if you'd have said, you will transfer this, and I said not no but hell no, okay, then both of you can go straight to hell, then I think that that would have been considered to be insubordinate. Okay? But under the circumstances, they asked me. I said, no, I need that equipment. Now, I haven't seen it now for over a year. It's sitting down there, I think, gathering dust. It was never used, to my knowledge, by that other special person's course. So, you know, I've just danced around that, and my future students, and particularly the students this semester, I can't demonstrate that to them and show them that thing in the physical content. So I give up, folks. Okay. Now, what happened was that attorney hired by Del Mar College, I asked for things under Public Information Act to clear my record, and I appealed the fact that they stuck a letter into my file saying I was insubordinate, hostile, and everything else under the sun. So I wanted to defend myself. So I appealed that letter. And that's when that attorney got in there and said, why do you need this information? And read everything I asked for under Public Information Act to try to clear my record and to defend myself. And I said, well, it was to defend myself. Now, the law states very clearly that if I ask for something under Public Information Act of Del Mar College, ladies and gentlemen, they have no right to ask me why I want that information. So she violated that. Here's an attorney that was paid for by Del Mar College. Then I appealed to the Attorney General's office. They said, give it to him. You can't withhold that information. So then Del Mar College turns around and sues the Attorney General's office, and it cost us about, you taxpayers, about $25,000, $30,000 to do that. And finally, the weak need people up there at the Texas Attorney General's office, they've got no backbone either. They said, well, you know, it's pending litigation, contemplated litigation from this man, so we agree with you. So I haven't been able to get that stuff to clear my record yet. Okay? All right, so that was the Inquisition. The gentleman never responded to my request. I'm talking about Mark Skirka. Yes, I am the sponsor of the recent No Carlos Valdez and No Mark Skirka yard signs. Neither one of them won their primary elections, okay? Neither man won their political races. So I can only surmise that Mr. Skirka wants to punish me and my fellow tax-paying voters for not voting to keep him as our district attorney. So what better way to get even with me is to put Carlos Valdez into that slot? Oh my God. Okay. Again, Mr. Skirka, your action horrifies and disgusts me and many other tax-paying friends of mine. What a gentleman. You're two peas in a pod, meaning you and Mr. Valdez. And I signed it Gerald Sansing, taxpayer, and I gave my address, home number, cell number, Gmail, or email address, and so forth and so on. So I don't know, Mr. Skirka. Bon voyage is all I can really say. Then what I've got is I've got a real hang-up these days with my buddies over there at Del Mar College. Okay? I've been on that bandwagon for a while. Now, I've been teaching at Del Mar College since August something, the end of August of 1989. I was in private industry, then I went into consulting, and I was teaching part-time in the community college district in San Antonio, the Alamo Community College District, to see if I wanted to teach in my long career in the research business and so forth after graduate school. Then I never thought about teaching, and then I wanted to get out of the rat race of consulting and pharmaceutical research. You don't see your kids in the daylight for more than an hour every 30 days. And I'd had enough of that. I've had a great time with that, folks. I was, I think, very successful. You can ask around at different research organizations. But I was in love with Corpus Christi, Texas, being a military son. My dad was born and raised in Bay City, Texas. I've got salt water in my veins. And my wife loved the saltwater fish. We used to leave San Marcos in any airplane that was available at the time and fly down to Rockport, where I had an old beat-up Chevrolet, and we'd spend the weekend down here at the coast in Corpus and up in Port A and Rockport area. And we loved it, so when she came in and said there's an ad for Del Mar College, then why don't you apply? I did, and here I am, okay? And as I told the Board of Regents a couple of years ago, they asked me when I was due to retire. I said, when you see that forklift leaving the Garcia Science Building with my dead body on a pallet on the front of it, then I just retired, and not a nanosecond before that. And I still contend that that's true, okay? Now, there are a lot of things that have gone wrong. I did get notice that the White Library and the West Campus libraries are both going to be closed starting Monday, the 22nd. This will air on that Wednesday, I guess, the 24th. But I don't know why they're going to close the libraries for 2 weeks. I'm a little bit concerned, what are those faculty members going to do? They're supposed to be there on the 22nd for convocation and start their faculty work week. If I don't show up and work, then I get docked for 8.75 hours during the day, although I'm not on a 40-hour-a-week schedule, folks. Del Mar's got that totally screwed up, but trying to talk any sense into the human human resources department over there is like talking to a dead tree trunk. They don't listen, and of course they know everything there is to know about everything, so what can I say? But I did notice that a while back that there was some mold up there. It was a severe problem in the library. I blew the whistle on that essentially. They put a sign up on the 3rd floor where the worst problems were, and they closed it off until further notice. So I guess my speculation is, although I've never been told to thank you or kiss my patootie for alerting us to a potential disaster with lawsuits flying from students and faculty members and employees and the public in that library with that mess they had allowed to have happen over there. I imagine that what's happened is maybe the mold remediation is going on, and they're going to close that library down and do the right thing for a change and remediate that problem. Okay? That's my speculation. But my question is, what are they going to do with those faculty members? Are they going to dock them pay, or what are they going to do? Because they've done that to other people that are on medical leave. Okay. Then Del Mar Regents to vote on Southside campus. Okay. This one came out, I didn't date it, but it shows a rendering of this, and I've been asked by several people over there. Now, the new Southside campus is due to be built on 97 acres of swampland at the corner of Rodfield Road and Yorktown Boulevard. Okay. Now, if you come down Rodfield, about the time you hit the property line there's a big, huge, deep drainage ditch that comes across there, and then it goes under the highway and then back into Oso Creek. Okay? A big drainage ditch. So in this rendering I'm looking at right here by the architects, it shows these 5-story buildings and all these other 2- and 3-story buildings and all this rigmarole out here. But it shows water as if it were a river or a stream down that ditch. Now I hope there's no water in there, folks. So architects, get your butts in gear and do the right thing and at least tell the truth. Now that soil is so bad out there that one of the previous owners tried to build a house out there, put a big huge slab in there, and it sunk into the ground and crumbled up. Okay. It's swampland. I've seen cows out there when that previous owner was running a few of those after a big rain, and I've seen them belly deep out there in water, standing around wondering, hey, what do I do now? Poor cow. Okay. So that's exactly where Del Mar College needs to build a new campus. So Del Mar bond going on the ballot. Okay. This came out on the 10th. I think that's the day that they had the board meeting and decided that they were going to go ahead and vote on that. And there were a couple of things in here that bothered me about that. It says, according to data presented to Regents Lenora Keys, Del Mar College's Vice President of Workforce Development and Strategic Initiatives, said 39% of current enrollment at the college comes from the South Side. Okay? Now, I'm going to discuss some of these numbers that Del Mar College concocts here in a minute. I've done that on previous shows, and it just bothers me that the Del Mar College administration thinks that the general public is so stupid they're going to buy into some of these numbers that are being preached by their public relations person over there. I did on the last show, I reproduced the Channel 6 KRIS News investigations of the Del Mar College numbers that they're using and preaching to try to support the fact that we need a $139 million bond for phase one. Now, with my calculations, I'm real weak in math. I don't know Del Mar College math. I can't really figure it out. I guess I'm not well enough educated with that, with a whole bunch of calculus classes, differential equations, graduate courses, and statistics, and so forth and so on. And, I can't figure this out. I had my first year of calculus in 1962, 1963 as a senior in high school. Okay, and then I had to take a lot of mathematics classes in order to get my PhD in chemistry and microbiology and the subsequent degrees in between. Okay, but I can't understand Del Mar College math. Okay, but I'm going to see if we can do that. And what we're doing is phase one's $139 million, and they do have two more phases. So if they're all equaled out, then as far as I'm concerned, if you multiply 139 million by 3, you're going to come up with a little bit right at $400 million to put a campus out there that we do not need, because we got 39% of our students that come from the south side, and those poor little babies need a $400 million campus out there, and they're going to say that it's going to grow from 1,500 students when they finally get the phase one in to a capacity for 20,000 students. And all combined in the history of Del Mar College, I can't find where we've ever had anything close to a total number of 20,000 students. Okay, currently we're running at 10,800, and there's some shenanigans going on with that. Okay, now what the college wants to have you believe is that no, it's not 10,800 credit students. We have 50,133 enrollments between 2014 in the 2014-2015 academic year. Okay. All right. And then Dr. Escamilla keeps pushing this stuff. Now, I won't read this. If you're curious, you can go into the college website and look at the Del Mar College South Campus Master Plan, which was when you were duped for $1.8 million from that bond that you approved in 2014 for $157 million to build new buildings on East Campus and upgrade stuff on West Campus. I think there was a building or two out there proposed. Okay, and then they took $1.8 million out of that $157 million, and they've spent that with this master plan for that Southside campus, with architects, engineers, and so forth. So there was a report, a letter from the president dated, that would be June 14th, 2016, and it shows a picture of Dr. Mark Escamilla up there with a speaker. Okay, it says "Dreaming for Southside, Del Mar College." Okay. And then go ahead, I've never looked it up. I'm not much of a connoisseur of things like that, but look up "What's Your Dream" online. I'm told that that's about a series of big porno sites if you do that, but that was the phrase in our banner that was adopted several years ago. What's your dream? Okay. Now, if that doesn't bring up some connotations, I don't know. Like I say, I couldn't care less about sites like that, but go ahead and you pull it up if you want to. And I've got people just splitting at the seams, laughing at what they see on that site. Not Del Mar's, but in general. Just Google "What's your dream?" Okay. All right, now, and then there was another thing that you can go into, www.delmar tomorrow.com. Okay? And you can come up with Del Mar College Southside Master Plan Phase 1. Okay? Phase 1 planning includes only those buildings shaded in red. Okay? So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 buildings, 3 small ones, 2 large ones, and a medium size. And then one of those, no, there's another one over there in a little parking lot, it looks like. Maybe a guard shack or something. And it shows the entrance off of Yorktown Boulevard. Okay? And then it tells you what's going to be transferred out there and how great it's going to be. And then we're going to have 20,000 Southside students attending that. We're still going to have full complement of people on East and West, Northwest Center, and the Center for Economic Development Center. Okay? Now, during the discussions about the number of enrollments and not full-time students, okay, Mr. Rick Spurl, Chief Investigative Reporter at Channel 6, which is KRIS Television, went over and tried to get some numbers. Now, I put those 2 interviews that he had with Del Mar College, not only the president, but the public relations person and, you know, journalist in the sky and all this other. She's got a title about 16 words long. But anyway, you know, it's amazing over there. But what they proposed was that since we had 50,133 enrollments, that justified that campus. Okay? Then, if you take a look, and when you're questioned with that, we only had 10,800 and some odd credit course taking students. 18% of those are actually dual credit students from high schools that do not go to campus. Okay? And then we have some other programs mixed in there. But if we come up, you know, I mean, 50,133 enrollment sounds a whole lot more like we need to have a new campus out there than we've only got 10,850 students, and that's down by a couple of thousand from 4 or 5 years ago. And we're bursting at the seams. Okay? All right, now, in order to get to that 50,133, they said if you have a student that takes 4 classes in the fall, that's 4 enrollments. If they take 4 more credit classes in the spring, that's 4 more enrollments. If they take 2 each in the summertime, that's 4. So if we have 8, and 4, how many is that? Okay, all right. Now, a friend of mine who has a bachelor's in business administration, a BBA, he's got a Master of Science in Accountancy, which is a higher degree than an MBA. And I've noticed at A&M's commencement this last month or so, I guess it was into the spring, that there were 30 some odd students that were graduating out of the business with master's degrees. And I think there was something like, I'm going to pull out, I think this is the best of my knowledge, 34 or 35 of them were MBAs, and only one of them had a Master's of Science in Accountancy, because that's a tough degree to obtain, folks. That is big time accounting. Then this man that did this and has cooperated with me and pulled up all these bogus transactions and write-offs, you know, that we went through for a while, and exposed that mess over there with a former chief financial officer that never had an accounting class in his life, totally unprepared for that. But the man wrote this. He said, this should help understand this enrollment versus students, okay? A husband and wife attended Del Mar College full-time. They go to both fall and spring semesters, then they attend both summer sessions. So 1 + 1 = 8 enrollments. Now actually, that would be, if they took full-time, that would be 5 and 5. That would be 20, and then 8, so that'd be 28 enrollments. So he was misled a little bit by that, but I mean this will get the picture across. based on the enrollments calculation provided by administration. That means the Del Mar College administration. Okay. So they both work part-time to afford college. Both make $1,000 per month. $1,000 plus $1,000 equals $8,000 in revenues by the same mathematical formula. Now they borrow money to purchase a house based on the $8,000 monthly revenues. They are able to purchase a $250,000 house. Okay? What math calculation is needed to understand how the house is paid for? Can we really use the new concept enrollments to justify a new Southside campus? Same way, can you use $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month being inflated by these tricky, funny numbered calculations by Del Mar College? And then on the Friday, July the 29th, there was a big board meeting. They presented all kinds of numbers on budgets and proposals for this, that, and the other. Okay? And it was a real mess. Then they turned right around and had another board meeting a couple of days ago in which they went ahead and approved putting that $139 million. I can't count that high in my brain, folks. $139 million bond issue on the upcoming November 8th election. And I hope you find folks out there have enough sense to understand that you're being duped and the numbers are skewed, they're not true, and so forth. And then when Dr. Escamilla was asked his projection of how many residents they're going to have over the next 20 years increase in the South Side, he said more. Now that's the real mathematical bottom liner, isn't it? Now, I have a real tough time with that as a research scientist, folks, before I came to Del Mar College. That wouldn't cut it. Okay? I'd be laughed out of the country when I went to publish papers in refereed scientific journals. I'd be laughed out of the country if I said more. And that's exactly what the public relations person said when she said, well, how many more enrollments do you expect? Well, more. Folks, that doesn't cut it. And then if you go into the statistical supplement, Del Mar College on their statistical supplement, and this was the whole wide world of that yearly funds that they have to print and so forth. What is it? Not the financial system, but the it's a yearly publication of the state of the college and numbers and so forth and so on. I've lost the verbiage on that one. Okay, but this was non-operating revenues and expenses, and they give you all this stuff, and it goes to prove that the CTA and I were right when we said that Del Mar College had millions of dollars in surplus funds at the end of the year when they're supposed to be using a zero basis. So the taxpayers put in so much money to cover what the true costs were. You don't have anywhere from $5 to $12 million surplus dollars at the end of the year and then tell faculty and staff members and employees that you can't give them a raise for 6 or 7 years. Oh, we're broke, we don't have any money. We just had a $5 to $12 million surplus this year, but we don't have any money. You know, you guys can go suck a raw egg. We don't care about you, and so forth and so on. And that's the Del Mar College administration, and particularly the Board of Regents. Okay? And then Mr. Trey McCampbell, who is the president of the Del Mar College Board of Regents, he was Mr. Destination Bayfront. He loves me dearly. When I showed the picture of him looking at that screen at the end of the voting for Destination Bayfront, after I had the No Destination Bayfront signs up, and down at the bottom left, they have to be signed by who supported those. And it said paid for by Sansing et al. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to put that same look on his face when this thing comes up in November. Okay. I don't care what it takes to do that. But my vice president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Jack Gordy. And he asked me the other day when I told him I was going to film this show and talk about that $139 million. He said, please explain to these people that's only phase one. So I did the math for you, okay? If you multiply, say, $140 million by 3, you're over $400 million, as far as I can remember from my second grade arithmetic. I mean, that's not math, folks. But to skew that and try to bend it and massage it and make it, look like 50,133 students versus a true of 10,800, something stinks there, folks. All right, but anyway, Mr. Gordy was trying to tell them about the past problems concerning the foundation problems, not Del Mar College Foundation, but the foundation problems of the previous owner of that 96 acres out there when it sank in and crumbled all up. And the enrollment numbers of 50,133, then he made a few comments to the college, and he stated that there were 55,000 students. Now, we had heard of 55,000 students instead of 50,133, and so he made some statements. They cut him off, said his 3 minutes for public access or public comment were over, and that Mr. Gordy was disruptive, and that Mr. McCampbell asked security to escort him out of the meeting. Now, who is Mr. Trey McCampbell voted in by the taxpayers, folks, to throw a taxpayer out of a meeting for telling the truth? You tell me. What gives him the authority to do that? So I sure as hell hope if he's up for re-election this go around that you'll say, hey, it's that McCampbell guy. We're not having it. Okay? That's from me personally. Okay. And then a roll call vote was taken and the motion carried unanimously. That means that they, whatever motion that was. Then we have a notice. This came out today. Notice of public hearing on adoption of budget. And they've proposed the budget for this coming year for Del Mar College. The public hearing on adoption of a budget will be held on Monday, August 22nd at 5:30 p.m. in the Eisenstein Boardroom, Harbin Center, Del Mar College East Campus, Baldwin and Air Street, Corpus Christi, Texas. You have a right to attend the hearing and make comments. If they don't like the comments you make, they'll probably have you escorted out by security. Okay? They can't handle the truth. You are encouraged to attend and make comments if you wish. No, that's a lie, folks. I mean, that's a blatant lie. They don't want anybody over there trying to talk any sense into those bozos and bozettes over there at all. Okay? Now here's the kicker too. Notice of public hearing on tax increase. Okay? The Del Mar College will hold 2 public hearings on a proposal to increase total tax revenues from properties on the tax roll in the preceding tax year by 2.01%, percentage by which proposed tax rate exceeds lower of rollback tax rate or effective tax calculated under Chapter 26 of the Tax Code, whatever the hell that means. Okay? It's all this legal mumbo-jumbo. They won't tell you the truth. Your individual taxes may increase at a greater or lesser rate or even decrease depending on the change in the taxable value of your property in relation to the change in taxable value of all other property and the tax rate that is adopted. The first public hearing will be held on August 22nd, 5:30 at the Eisenstein Boardroom. That's the same time, I guess, as that other meeting. The second hearing will be on August 25th at 5:30 at the same place. The members of the governing body voted on the proposal to consider a tax increase as follows. 4, that was James Boggs, Susan Hutchison, Trey McCampbell, Carol Scott, Nicholas Adami, Sandra Messbarger, Gabe Rivas III, and Guy Watts. Okay, not present was Elva Estrada. The average taxable value of a resident's homestead at Del Mar College last year was $142,154 based on last year's tax rate of 0.248073 per $100 of taxable value, the amount of taxes imposed last year on the average home was $352.65. The average taxable value of a resident's homestead in Del Mar College this year is $151,154. If the governing body adopts the effective tax rate for this year, which is 0.241306 per hundred of taxable value, the amount of taxes imposed this year on an average home would be $364.74. If the governing body adopts the proposed tax rate of 0.24 instead of the 0. Whatever it was, okay, I guess it's dropped a little bit, okay, per hundred of taxable value, the amount of taxes imposed this year on the average home would be $372.08. Now what they do is they say we're going to decrease the rate by an insignificant amount, and in this town the appraisals go up. This appraisal district is totally out of line. There's not a person down there that knows what the hell they're doing. I had a broker's license for a lot of years in the state of Texas, and I have taken real estate appraising. And I have fought them on my property down here. All they want to do is skin the taxpayers more and more. And they come up with these insane amounts of money on appraisals that don't come anywhere close to the real value of the home according to what is sold, bought and sold around there. I mean, it's crazy. Notice of the 2016 tax year proposed property tax rate for the city of Corpus Christi. And here we go again, okay? So I'll keep you abreast of them. Del Mar College spends a fortune. It's about $1.3 million a year on advertising. Here's a mail out. It says registration for fall 2016. It gives you the times and dates. And classes are available in Cal Allen, orientation, high school students get a head start on college at the right price. Yeah, $99 for a class that costs a regular student a whole lot more money than that. So we're giving dual credit students who do not go to the classroom, okay, a break of $99.99 per 3-hour course. Now, is that fair to our full-time credit students? I don't think so. Now, I'm all for, giving credit, but, are those, my question is, are those high school dual credit courses and those credits count the same as if you were at campus and taking a regular class from a regular faculty member, okay? Are those the same quality classes so that they can get you into a higher college, 4-year college or above, okay? Is that going to do you any good, students? You need to ask the question. Okay? So, Dreams Delivered, Student Enrollment Center. Okay? So I don't know how much these slick things cost you taxpayers out there, but I do know that they've got Del Mar College ads on the side of buses out there and every other thing under the sun. Okay? It's incredible. Then I know that we've had some problems. Another gentleman and I, that CPA that I talked about, Mr. Ed Bennett, in obtaining information through the Texas Public Information Act, and things are delayed over there, and they're screwed up. You don't get exactly what you're asking for, and then if you do ask for it and they don't want to give it to you, then they're going to go ahead and spend a bunch of money suing the AG's office to try to keep you, or keep me and other people from having it. Now here's the card from Mr. Bennett. Okay, he's associate member of the Associations of Certified Fraud Examiners. Okay, and Del Mar College has piqued his and my attention and curiosity on many occasions with some of the shenanigans going over there. And he's for education. He's mad that they fired a whole bunch of full-time, hard-working custodians and their groundskeepers over there to hire these expensive contractors around. And then the guy that was instrumental in that, he left Del Mar College, retired early, got a big bonus check, and now he's driving around in a $750,000 motorhome with a $50,000 BMW in tow, and he is the chief consultant for that, nationally, for that custodial service. and the CFO over there that signed on to that also. He is now not employed with Del Mar College any longer. Thank you, Lord. Okay? All right, so Mr. Bennett goes through what he wants to do and whatever he thinks is right. And if we can get a CPA, folks, with his background with a BBA and a Master's of Science degree in accountancy, interested in staving off a lot of these funny money things that went on over there and understanding the true budget at Del Mar College and trying to protect you taxpayers out there rather than make some money himself, then, because Del Mar Regents are not paid for any of that stuff, then more power to you, Mr. Ed Bennett. And he's running for District 5. And I won't say anything about his rival who sleeps through half the meetings, and it's incredible. All right, CCISD to see historic pay increase. I do know that if you have a bachelor's degree and you're a teacher, you can get a higher starting salary, 9-month salary at CCISD than you can with a master's degree coming in as a tenure track instructor at Del Mar College. So thank you, Del Mar College. And then we have another pet peeve of mine, Bayshore Park Development Plan. This is the reason that I went against Mark Skirka and Carlos Valdez, and I'm totally and completely enamored with the new city attorney who is going to sue me for $65,000, and he's choked on that. But it says Bayshore Park Development Plan. This is where they want to go down there and spend the $5,000 or $5 million that was left over from the bond issue of 2008 for the development of the shoreline down there. And they want to spend that $5 million remaining after they screwed Shoreline Drive up over there. It looks like, I mean, it's a joke, folks. It's a third world country attempt over there. They've ruined that whole bayfront and any of the scenery along there. But anyway, they want to spend that $5 million to go in there and put in shade and bathroom facilities after they tore down the Coliseum, which was a shot in the eye of all veterans. And then they preached around here with, I think it was in there that the city wants to do some work on Sherrill Park and make sure that they do everything to appreciate the veterans around here. Well, veterans, if you're that stupid to think that that city council down there and these big high rollers down there, Joe Adami and all the rest of these people give a rip about you as a veteran or what you did for them, I got a real hot flash for you. I'll be glad to sit down. And then we've got the bridge. Officials joined to kick off the new bridge project. That's when they had the groundbreaking the other day. And then we've got the brightest guy in Corpus Christi, Texas, Mr. Herb Canales. And he's always blathering on about this, that, and the other, supporting all of his big business and big rich people around here. Okay? And, the ones that are suffering, folks, as I said before, are those poor people that are over there trapped in those neighborhoods, Donna Park, Hillcrest, and Washington Coles, and they're being played for a bunch of suckers over there for the, they just want out of that mess over there, and they like to do it as the port's going to make a whole bunch of money and a bunch of investors and stuff around here, real estate moguls and so forth, at their expense. They're going to lowball the amount of the appraisals on their property over there in those neighborhoods, and then they're going to stick it to them and buy that property and develop it for commercial use and get it at a real bargain. So what can I say, folks, except welcome to Corpus Christi, Texas, the land of the high roller. Anyway, I've got about a minute to go. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, put the banner back up, and you can get my email address and you can make any kind of remarks you want. I've got nothing to hide. I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I've got about 40 seconds left here to show you the banner. If you've got any questions, comments, or whatever, if you want to come on the show and express your point of view, all you have to do is email me at gsansing@gmail.com. If you want to see the past editions of this show or the current ones, if you miss one, you can go to YouTube and just put in Gerald, Gerald, Sansing, and they'll bring up all the shows. I'm putting the past ones in that I've failed to be able to get on there here lately. Anyway, I'm going to let this wind down, and thank you for watching. I appreciate your comments if you'll send them to me.